Again, thank you for joining me again for this second part of this discussion or Bible insight. Today I'm considering this topic: Yahuwah will do whatever he said he will do regarding you, the people of the nations. Yes, Yahuwah will do whatever he said he will do concerning the peoples of the nations. But what is it that Yahuwah said that he will do about the people of the other nations who are not Israelites? What is it that Yahuwah said that he will do? Well, let's find out according to what is written. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32. Deuteronomy chapter 32. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 31 to 34. There is written, concerning the people of the nations, it was foretold long ago by Moses, even before Israel became a nation. It's written, say, for their rock is not like our rock. Even our enemies understand this. For their vine is from the vine of Sodom and from the terraces of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of poison. Their cluster are bitter. Their wine is the venom of serpent. They are cruel, the cruel poison of cobras. Is this not stored up for me? Is this not stored up with me, sealed up in my storehouse? Verse 35 to 37. So vengeance is and retribution. Vengeance and retribution vengeance is mine, and retribution at the appointed time when their foot sleeps. For the day of their disaster is near, and what awaits them will come quickly. For Yahuwah will judge his people, and then he will feel pity for his servants. When he sees that their strength has waned, and that only the helpless and the weak remain, then he will say, where are their gods, the rock in whom they sought refuge? So understand what is written. God said about the other people of other nations that their wine is the venom of serpent. So they produce nothing but bad. The nations produce nothing but wicked things, poisonous things. God said he knows this, and he said he stored up in his storehouse. He know about this. That the nations, other peoples produce nothing but wicked things, and he is aware of it. But what he said is this: that vengeance is his, and he will give retribution at the appointed time when their foot slips. So God is waiting for the appointed time to render judgment or punishment also to the peoples of the nations. He knew of what they will do and what they will do to his people. He said, yes, at the appointed time he will do what? Take vengeance and retribution. But he will first do what? Punish his people of Israel, for Yahuwah will first judge his people of Israel. So after judging the people of Israel, and after their strength has went down, and then only the helpless remain, he said then he will do what? Turn his attention to the other nations and ask them, where is your God? For Yahuwah will show himself as God over all. So he will ask the nations, where is the God that you all are calling upon and depending on? Let him come and save you. But he will do this after he has finished judging his own people first. And if you followed my last video, you will find you will know by now that God first brought judgment upon his people in AD 33, when he first sent the Messiah to come and inspect the nation of Israel before pronouncing the judgment upon them. And for 2,000 years the people of Israel will be in punishment, under judgment for all their error. So Yahuwah will carry out whatever he says he will carry out regarding his people and regarding the peoples of the nations. Follow me as I read the book of Jeremiah, chapter 25, verse 29. Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 29. And notice what Yahuwah said. 20, verse 29, the book of Jeremiah. This is what Yahuwah said through Jeremiah. He said, for look, I am bringing what? Calamity first on the city that bears my name. That's the people of Israel. He said, should you go unpunished? So you will not go unpunished, for I am calling for a sword against the inhabitants of the earth, declares Yahuwah of armies. So Yahuwah said to the nations, you will not go what? Unpunished. If he brought punishment upon the people, that the nation that bears his name, what made you think that you will go unpunished? He said, you will not go unpunished, you, the people of the nations. Okay? He said, he's calling what? A sword against all the inhabitants of the earth. So the same judgment of destruction upon the wicked is going to be carried out. Just like he brought sword upon the wicked of Israel, the same way Yahuwah will bring a sword to wipe out all the wicked, the tyrants of other nations, of the nations. He said, I'm calling upon a sword against the inhabitants of the earth, declares Yahuwah. So whatever Yahuwah says he will do, he will do. And nobody should question him. So there is also a judgment coming for the people, or on all humans on earth. And this judgment will also follow by the time the judgment of the people of Israel ends. The judgment of the people of Israel will end with the wicked ones of Israel, the sinners, being put to death. So this same judgment will be carried out around the time the Israelites are finishing up their judgment. Their sentence that they are serving. Notice what will happen during this time of final judgment. Because God said he's going to do what? Bring this judgment. The book of Jeremiah chapter 25, I'm going to read verse 31 to 33. It's written, "A noise will resound to the ends of the earth, for Yahuwah has a controversy with the nations. He will personally pass judgment on all humans, and he will put the wicked to the sword, declares Yahuwah. This is what Yahuwah of armies says. So look, a calamity is spreading from nation to nation, and a great tempest will be unleashed from the remotest part of the earth. And those slain by Yahuwah in that day will be from one end of the earth clear to the other ends of the earth. There will not be mourned, nor will they be gathered up or buried. They will become like manure on the surface of the ground." So Yahuwah said during this time that he's going to rise up to take action for the final judgment in order to annihilate the wicked of Israel and the wicked of the nations. During this final judgment, so calamity will go from one nation to another, from one remotest part of the earth to the other remotest parts of the earth. Does it look like what you see in COVID-19? Started in Wuhan, China, and it spread to all the other end of the earth. This is the final judgment, how it will be. It will go from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. That is how this calamity of the final judgment will take place. It said, those slain by Yahuwah will be many, and they will not be what? Mourned, nor will they be gathered up or buried. You saw it during COVID-19. The morgue was filled up, and they're looking for space. This is not yet, this is just the beginning. For Yahuwah will do something far worse than this, because he said he's going to put all the wicked to death. Yes, so those slain by Yahuwah will be so many. They will not even be buried, but they will become like manure to the ground. Keep in mind, Yahuwah will do whatever he said he will do. He said that he can even find a man from somewhere, remotest part of the earth, to come and carry out his decision. And his decision is to put to death the sinners of the earth. Notice the book of Micah, chapter 1, verse 3 to 5. Micah chapter 1, verse 3 to 5. There it is written, For look, Yahuwah is going out from his place. He will come down and tread on earth's high places. The mountains will melt under him, and the valleys will split apart, like wax before the fire, like water poured down a slope. So all this is because of the revolt of Jacob, because of the sins of the house of Israel. What is the revolt of Jacob? Is it not Samaria? And what are the high places of Judah? Are they not Jerusalem? So because of Israel's revolt, because of their leaving their gods to go and serve idols of the nations, God said he's going to return and he's going to tread down earth's high places. The mountains will split and things will be washed away, because Israel provoked Yahuwah to anger. Israel is supposed to serve as priests to Yahuwah, to teach the other nations, the other peoples of the earth concerning the true God and his requirements. Israel is supposed to take the lead in bringing other nations to come to learn of the true God and serve him. But Israel's revolt caused the nations wandered away. Israel followed the nations and wandered away from the true God. So because of this, God said he's going to do what? Tread down earth's high places, because of the revolt of Jacob. So do not be misled. That is what is written. God will, with the punishment he will bring on the sinners of Israel, will also render the same punishment upon the people of the nations. He said he will personally pass judgment as to who will live and those who will be put to death. And like he said, those who will be put to death will be many, that they will not even be buried. Pay attention as I read in the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 24, verse 37 to 39. Matthew chapter 24, 37 to 39. There is written, "For just as the days of Noah were, so the presence of the Son of Man will be. For as they were in those days before the flood, eating and drinking, and men marrying, and women being given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and they took no note until the flood came and swept them all away. So the presence of the Son of Man will be." So the Messiah, Yahushua, said it will be the same just as it was in the days of Noah. Only the chosen ones, Noah and his family, was preserved alive. The rest of the people were swept away. They were caught up in the calamity that followed. For Yahuwah brought the flood that wiped out everything, man and beast. They were all put to death, and they became like manure to the ground. Where were all those people in Noah's day? Where are they? They became like manure to the ground. Even so, again, it's going to be in this time of final judgment that is coming. Yahuwah said he's going to put so many to death that they will not be buried, but they will become like manure to the ground. For Yahuwah will tread down earth's high places in order to start what? Afresh, to start anew with the chosen ones. And if you followed my discussion last week, 144,000 of Israelites will be preserved alive to return back to the mighty God in Zion. So, as it was in the days of Noah, it will going to be again. It's already like that because many are not paying attention as to what is going on or what is coming. They are busy getting married and being men giving him married. But they do not know that, yes, this is the decision Yahuwah has made long ago. And Yahuwah will do whatever he said he will do. So, God will tread down earth's high places and he will start all over again with only the chosen ones, the ones chosen to receive his mercy. 144,000 of Israelites will receive his mercy. And what about the people of the nations? How many will be preserved alive to receive the mercy of God? Join me as I read the book of the book of Zechariah, chapter 8. Zechariah, chapter 8, verse 20 to 23. There it is written, "This is what Yahuwah of armies says. It will yet come to pass that peoples and the inhabitants of many cities will come, and the inhabitants of one city will go to those of another and say, let us earnestly go and beg for the favor of Yahuwah and seek Yahuwah of armies. I am also going. And many peoples and mighty nations will come to seek Yahuwah of armies in Jerusalem and to beg for the favor of Yahuwah. This is what Yahuwah of armies says. In those days, 10 men out of all the languages of the nations will take hold. Yes, they will take firm hold of the robe of a Jew, saying, we want to go with you, for we have heard that God is with you people. So it is written that a time is coming when the people of other nations will join the people of Israel to go and seek and serve the God of Israel in Jerusalem. So 10 men out of all the languages of the earth will join an Israelite to go to serve the God of Israel, the living God, in Jerusalem. So 10 men out of all the languages of the earth will be saved. Ask Google, how many languages do we have on earth today? Google will tell you that we have roughly 117 languages are spoken on earth today, or roughly 7,200 languages spoken on earth today. So 10 men out of every language spoken on earth will join the people of Israel, the 144,000 Israelites that will be saved from the final judgment, to go and worship the God of Israel In the book of Revelation, chapter 7, verse 9 and 10, pay attention as I read the book of Revelation, chapter 7, verse 9 and 10. It says, "After this I saw and look a great crowd, which no man was able to number, out of all the nations and tribes and peoples and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes. And there were palm branches in their hands. And they kept shouting with a loud voice, saying, Salvation we owe to our God, who is seated on the throne, and to the Lamb." So these people of the nations, great crowd from the nations, we recognize or acknowledge that they owe their salvation because of our God, because our God chose to pardon them and to show them mercy, just like he will show mercy to 144,000 Israelites. This great crowd will also be shown mercy, and they will acknowledge that their salvation is because our God chose to do what? Preserve them alive from the judgment of destruction that is coming upon the earth, as it was in the days of Noah. God will wipe out everything, or he will show mercy to this great crowd, 10 men out of every nation, out of every language of the earth. 10 men out of every language of the earth will survive to join the people of Israel to go to Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem, to worship Yahuwah and to render sacred service to him. So, Yahuwah will carry out whatever he said he will carry out. Join me as I read Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 33. Say, "And those slain by Yahuwah in that day will be from one end of the earth clear to the other end of the earth. They will not be mourned, nor will they be gathered up or buried. They will become like manure on the surface of the ground." So those not chosen among these 10 men out of all the peoples of the earth, the rest of the people not chosen will do what? Will become like manure to the surface of the ground. They will not be buried. They will not be mourned. For Yahuwah will tread down 8 high places in order to start over again with the chosen few. Many are called, but few are chosen. Okay? So, Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 4. Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, verse 4. There is written, "They will die of deadly diseases, but no one will mourn them or bury them. They will become like manure to the surface of the ground. They will perish by the sword and by famine, and their dead bodies will be food for the birds of the heavens and for the birds of the earth, for the beasts of the earth." So understand, when Yahuwah carries out his judgment, the same pattern follows. So the dead bodies will not be mourned. He brings war, he brings famine, he brings devastation. That's why he asks in Malachi, "Who will endure the day of his coming. For Yahuwah brings a terrible and fearful judgment. Said they will become like manure to the surface of the ground. That is what is written. And Yahuwah has proven that he will do whatever he said he will do. He is only waiting for the appointed time. Appointed time in what he is doing. Appointed time to carry out his decisions. For nothing will stop him from carrying out his decisions that he has made long ago. So, to prove to you that Yahuwah is able to carry out his decisions, Yahuwah has at his arsenal his angels that he uses to carry out his judgments at the appointed times. And the scriptures tells us that the angels are standing in front of our God waiting for his command to carry out his decisions. So to prove to you that Yahuwah will carry out what he said he will carry out, let's consider what is written in Isaiah chapter 37, verse 36. Isaiah chapter 37, verse 36. Isaiah chapter 37, verse 36. There is written, And the angel of Yahuwah went out and struck down 185,000 men in the camp of the Assyrians. When people rose up early in the morning, they saw all the dead bodies. An angel of Yahuwah under 12 hours killed 185,000 Assyrians. Not even under 24 hours, under 12 hours. When people woke up the next day, their dead bodies were just lying down in the field. Just an angel. So, for anybody thinking, oh, it will not happen, God cannot do that. If an angel can kill 185,000 in that under 12 hours, think of what a legion of angels will kill under 12 hours. Think of what 100,000 angels descending upon the earth to carry out Yahuwah's command. Think of what they will do under 12 hours if one angel can kill 185,000 in under 12 hours. Do the math. And the scripture tells us that Yahuwah has myriads and myriads of angels waiting to carry out his command. All he has to do is do what? Say the word, and the angels will go out and will carry it out. So Yahuwah will do whatever he says he will do. If he says he's going to put the sinners to death, he will carry it out at the appointed time. Consider the book of Exodus, chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, verse 29 and 30. Exodus chapter 12, verse 29 and 30. Then at midnight, Yahuwah struck down every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who was sitting on his throne, to the firstborn of the captives who was in the prison, and every firstborn of the animals. Pharaoh got up that night along with all his servants and all the other Egyptians, and there was a great outcry among the Egyptians, because there was not a house where someone was not dead. So Yahuwah passed this judgment on Egypt, and in one night all the firstborns of Egypt were killed, even the firstborn of animals. Sometimes you yourself don't know which animal is the firstborn of which, but Yahuwah knows the firstborn of each animal. They were all struck dead. Tell me Yahuwah will not do what he said he will do. So he is more than able to carry out the decisions that he said he will carry out. He's just waiting for the appointed time. He's just waiting for the appointed time to carry them out. So he's silent doesn't mean he can't do it. He's silent. He's waiting for his appointed time to carry his decisions out. He has more than enough artillery to carry out his angels to carry out his command. And from what is written, we have seen that God will carry out his command at the appointed time. Finally, let's consider 2 Thessalonians, the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 1, verse 6 to 10. It's written, so this take into account that it is righteous on God's part to repair tribulation to those who make tribulation for you. But you who suffer tribulation will be given relief along with us at the revelation of the Lord Yahuwah from heaven with his powerful angels in a flaming fire, as he brings vengeance on those who do not know God and those who do not obey the good news about the Lord Yahuwah. So these very ones will undergo the judiciary punishment of everlasting what? Destruction from before the Lord and from the glory of his strength. At that time when he comes to be glorified in connection with his holy ones, and to be regarded in that day with wonder among all those who exercise faith, because the witness we gave met with faith among them. So notice that Yahuwah will return with powerful angels from heaven. Powerful angels. And they are returning to carry out the decisions of Yahuwah, the judgment that he has made of long ago. And that judgment is to do what? To put the sinners to death. The sinners of Israel and the sinners of the nations, those not obeying the good news about Yahuwah, about our God and what he is doing. Those who have allowed themselves to be misled by the wicked and by the wild beasts of the nations. They are coming to carry out the judgment of God. And those put to death will be what? Will be so many that they will not be buried. But this will be carried out at that time, at the appointed time, for Yahuwah to carry out this final judgment that he has foretold long ago. But it started with the people of Israel, the people that bear his name. And he's going to punish them for 2,000 years, after which he will give attention to the nations, and the earth high places will be treaded down, and the earth will start over again. And Yahuwah will rule over the people of his chosen people of Israel. For God said he will not destroy all of them. And a remnant, a great crowd of the nations will be saved. 10 men out of every language will survive to join the people of Israel. Will you be among them? Among the 10 men that will recognize who the people of Israel are, who the God of Israel is dealing with? Would you be among the 10 men of the people of the nations that will acknowledge that God is with this people, with you people, and we will go with you? Will you be among the 10 men that will, of the nations that will cling to the skirt of an Israelite in order to go with them to worship and serve the God of Israel? Your salvation depends on you, what you do with the good news that you have heard. Yes, there will be salvation for those who will humble themselves and accept the good news of what our God is doing in Zion. For he is raising up his Son to rule over the earth, to rule over his recreation of the earth. Yes, you can be part of it, but you have to do what? Listen to the good news that we are declaring in these last days. So, until next time, if you have liked this message, click the like button. Share this video with others. Share the truth with people who want to listen to. The kingdom of the heaven is like a treasure that a man found and hid and went and sold everything in order to buy the land. Not everybody knows about this good news. Not everybody have this knowledge. For to many who are perishing, it is hidden from them. But you that have given attention to listen, you can save yourself if you sell everything to buy the land, like the illustration of the man seeking for the fine pearl. So it's up to you. Again, thank you. Share, subscribe to this message. But just keep in mind, Yahuwah, the God of Israel, will do whatever he said that he will do at the appointed time.